Stampin' Country. Thanks so much for stopping by. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love taking a peek into other people's craft spaces. So today, I'm going to give you a tour of my craft space. We've been working on it since last fall, and we've completed it in May, but had a super busy June. Now I'm ready to share with you, so come on in. We originally built this room as a connecting room between the garage and our mudroom, so it is a big walk-through space, and we affectionately called it the 12 by 11 and a half room. Seriously, it really did, because that's the size it was. And then over time, I commandeered it as my craft space or my office. Because it is a walkway, we only utilize about 7 feet by 12 feet of this room. So I'm going to show you how you can maximize a small craft room space. Let's start with how I store my punches. I have a little shelving unit that my dad made, and so I store my punches on the shelf, and then inside the little door I store things that I want handy but out of sight, because they're like the Stampin' mist and stuff, and rubbing alcohol and things like that, so it's out of sight. Below that, hanging on the wall, I have a shadow box. It's a compartment shadow box, so it has shelves and little cubbies, and you can store all kinds of little embellishments and bows and clips and baker's twine and washi tape, and it's a real handy place, and it doesn't really take up any space because I'm hanging it on the wall. And then just below that, I have a dresser that I picked up at a garage sale for $30. I modified it by putting the little wood blocks on the front and then the hardware that matches the piece beside it, so that it looks like a library cabinet, but the drawers are roomy to store some of my bigger things in. And then one other tip here, my husband had this great idea. The dresser, instead of making it look like a separate piece, he had the idea of making it look like a build-in. So he finished out the trim, caulked around it, and attached it to the wall so that it looks like it's built-in and it belongs next to the unit that you see beside it. And this unit, yes, he did make this too, and some of my friends said, well, not everybody has a Joe. So I'm going to tell you, these are just basically cubed units. You can get them, I know, at IKEA. I think they're called Cowlax. And Stampin' Storage does make the little cubes that will fit inside. You can store paper or punches and other things. But he did build these in, so I was lucky that way. I originally wanted, because I love color, I wanted open shelves for the paper. I'm sure you've seen that before. But I have lights on both sides of my room, so we decided to go with the drawers. And because the drawers are a little deeper, I had to put a couple different colors in each drawer. And the way to make that more usable so they don't get mixed up is to put them in clear plastic bags, so that works out. So I have Granny Apple Green and Lemon Lime Twist in this one. You can also put stuff like punch boards and your stamparatus, things like that. And of course, these come in handy for your little cubey bins and books and catalogs, that sort of thing. And next to my cubed unit, I have my little organizational unit right next to my desk. So up above, I have some little baskets that I've got at Hobby Lobby. You've probably seen them. I think they're, I don't know if I think they're the Farmhouse, but maybe not. Anyway, they're from Hobby Lobby, and I store my ins and outs. So it'll be team gifts, thank you notes, all that sort of thing going in and out of the office. And then below that, my much loved ink storage. It's from Stampin' Storage, and you'll notice that my inks are stored in rainbow order, the same as my paper, which was also in rainbow order. So if you remember from grade school, it's the Roy G. Bibb red, orange, yellow, green, and so forth and so on. So I store them like that. And I'm going to get a little closer here so you can see this. Stampin' storage is genius when it comes to storage solutions. So these, you'll notice that I have both old and new pads. You can see the old pads and the new pads, and how I'm getting away with that is if you've already have a Stampin' Storage unit, Stampin' Storage is offering little blocks that you can put in there because the newer ink pads are just a bit smaller than the older ink pads. But you'll notice that they're all flush and they're sticking out the same. So I love that genius solution for that. And then down below I have some organization. This is from IKEA. I'm sure you've seen these in the kitchen section if you've been to IKEA. So I have my color swatches and my watercoloring and my spritzers, and then I'll go to my scissors, and then my much used items like my bone folder and stuff like that. So it's right next to my desk. I can just roll my chair over and get those things. Next up is my desk area. I was lucky enough to find this old oak desk. It looks like an old teacher's desk to me, but I'm not really sure where it came from. It is oak, so if you're a wood lover, just close your ears for a couple seconds. I painted this to match my room. But moving on, this is my Stampin' Blend storage. I did a video on this a while back. It is made with plumber's pipe, or I think you call it PVC, and then the plumber's adhesive to put the little pieces together. And then oftentimes I forget, next to that, I forget to use my doilies and my pearls and stuff like that. So I found this cute little antique box to put them on right on my desk. They're right where I can see them, so I use them. You'll notice that my desk is mostly cleared. I don't like a lot of clutter. I have a laptop so I can move my computer on and off. The other important thing on your desk area is you want a nice, comfortable chair. I wanted something that was sort of sleek, modern looking. I didn't want it in brown, black, or gray. So that was what I was looking for. I did manage to find one online. It also could not have arms because it had to fit under that little desk area. And then over on the right side, just have a few other things. I'll show you. I'll give you a little close-up here. Everybody should have, you want a little bin for your adhesive and such. Everybody uses that. That's my repositionable tape, and of course every desk or every office area should have a little chocolate for when you just need a little creative juice. So I put mine in the mason jars, the blue mason jars, to match my room, and my diffuser, I have a diffuser here, that sort of thing. So it's pretty uncluttered, but I do have one other area. I want to show you one drawer here. Remember when I showed you the shadow box hanging on the wall? Well, you can also use your shadow boxes horizontally and lay them in drawers for dividers. And so I have my clear blocks for stamping and my some more washi tape, that sort of thing, and it really organizes it well. The other thing you want to do in your craft space or office is you want to make sure that you utilize your wall space. So when you can, if you have open wall space, be sure to put shelves or decorative items. This is an old unit that I bought at Michael's years and years ago. I don't know if it's still available, but it's come in real handy for me because it has all the little shelves and cubes. So on mine I have embellishments and my acrylic paint, and then I have my ribbons. You can put whatever you want, but I did utilize my wall space. And then I have another workstation. That's the other thing, is you want to have different workstations. You'll notice over by my desk area I do my stamping and that sort of thing. Over here I'm going to do my cutting and I'm going to do my big shot. But it also has a lot of storage, as you can see. These are basically kitchen units. My husband Joe did make them, but you can also just buy kitchen units various places, or have them made. So I started with Stampin' Up! With scrapbooking, but I started when my kids were in high school and junior high. So I still have a lot of pictures to get in scrapbooks. So I have pictures there. And then my other big key is to make sure that you use bins. Because if you don't, and you have stuff stored up on these shelves, they tend to fall over. I've had them fall out of my head. So I've discovered that if you use bins, you can pull the whole basket out if you want. I can pull up from on high. Yeah, I might need a stool. But it helps keep them organized. So I have cards and I have my bags and boxes. It really, really helps a lot. Even here, I have some magazines. As a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, we get quarterly magazines called Stampin' Success, which are fabulous. So I can store those in there. And I also have like extra Whisper White and Very Vanilla cardstock, because you use a lot of that. So I keep those there, and they're easy to get to. And then, of course, I have more of the same here, but notice I have the bins again, and they're all labeled. So these are my mailers. I do a lot of mailing of cards and gifts and things like that. So that's. And then I keep most things in storage so that I can pull them out, and I have a good counter space to work on for my Big Shot and my cutting. So my cutter is actually stored down here in the cabinet as my printer is, because if they were on the counter, they would take up a tremendous amount of space. So this is an old guillotine cutter that Stampin' Up! Used to sell. So that's always a good idea to keep those like that. On the right side, this is an office / craft room. So the right side is strictly office supplies. Make sure you can see that. So it's just what every office would have, all this sort of paper clips and labelers and printer paper, all that sort of stuff is in those drawers. I do have a couple tips for your counter space. I did luck out and get a nice walnut counter. This was made with, I think he called it out lumber, but Joe made my countertop, so yes, it's beautiful, gorgeous, and why not show it off? So I don't keep too much on here because I like it open for working, but you usually will see a few current projects. You may remember some of these with the Animal Outings stamp set bundle pillow boxes that I recently made, or this adorable pillow card. But the other tip I wanted to show you was I always keep a little bucket or a trash can or something on my work area where I'm cutting, especially the Big Shot cuts, my cutters cut, and you end up with all these little pieces of scraps. What you can do is, I have a little whisk broom. This was my great-grandmother's. Thanks, Mom. And so when you're done, or in between even, you can sweep up all those little scraps and put them in your little trash can. And when you're done for the day, then you can throw out what's in your little trash can. It's a great time saver. Then you don't have this accumulated mess of little paper scraps all over your counter or your work area. Then over on the right side, I do continue with my craft room organization. So my top drawer is my scrap papers, and I've done videos on this before. I'm going to do a new one and show you how to make these cool little folders, but I like to store mine by color in their own little color folders. It's real easy to find your scraps this way. My Flirty Flamingo is of course in my Flirty Flamingo file. I do keep a bigger area for my Whisper White because I use a ton of Whisper White. And then everybody needs a Big Shot drawer. If you have a Big Shot, you need a Big Shot drawer. So I have embossing folders, I have thin-lit, frame-lit dies, and then I have my platforms and my cutting mats and anything Big Shot related. I even have a little tub that just has my Big Shot tools. Again, I can find them because they're in a little bin. The other thing that you're going to notice is that I tend to keep everything just like in my cabinets above. I like to have containers because it's easy to pull them out. My drawer, if I had all these in the drawer, they would be sloshed all over the drawer in no time. But these are my embossing powders. They're real easy to pull out. This is my embossing / sponging drawer. So I have my sponge jobbers together and my sponges. And then more cutters and score tools. The old crocodile, which I hope comes back, and stapler. And then my final section of my room that I would like to show you is my stamps, big shots, and other things. So this is a shelf or a bookcase that my dad made me, but the good news is that our stamps are the same size as DVD cases, so anything that will hold a DVD case or organize DVDs will also organize your stamps. So how I organize my stamps, the upper shelf that has stamps, that's going to be my holiday stamps. And then pretty much everything else is the bottom two shelves, and I organize those alphabetical, and then over on the bottom right I store my sentiments, my alphabets, and those kind of things, and those are also in alphabetical order. You want to have a little bit of decorative, at least I do, because I love color. So I took some of my ribbons and stuff and put them in mason jars just to decorate. My big shots are stored on a shelf because I like to keep this space clear if I'm cutting and I don't want my big shot over here. Have some catalogs, and the little sewing machine drawers have some current samples of projects that I've been working on. And because I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I pretty much keep mostly current things. But I do have a confession. I do keep some retired stuff, and that's what you're going to see on that bottom shelf. And that's because I have 14 grandchildren, and I also teach children at church for different classes and things. So the things that I'm going to use with the kids, I keep down there. My grandkids all know where they're at. So that's pretty much it. I do have one more little tip to share with you. While we're talking about stamps, I have one final tip to share with you, and this has saved me so much time searching for things. If I buy a stamp set as a bundle with framelit dies, I will store my dies inside my case on a little magnetic sheet. So this is the Ribbon of Courage stamp set. These are the framelits that go with it. I don't have to look all over in my drawers to find that. They're already stored together. The ones that are separate are ones that don't necessarily go with a particular set, such as my stitch shapes and stuff like that. But that is a great time-saving tip, and it's also a space-saving tip. Thanks so much for stopping by. I really enjoyed sharing my craft room with you. Hope you picked up some great tips to implement in your craft room. If you have any questions, be sure to leave a comment below. And if you enjoyed this video and would like to learn more about paper crafting or card making, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Thanks so much. See you later.